What actually happens when Uranus turns retrograde? Nothing dramatic, and that's the point. On September 10th, 2026, at 1827 UTC, Uranus stations retrograde at 5.69 degrees of tropical Gemini, which lands at 11.46 degrees of sidereal Taurus in the Vedic frame. That shift opens a season built for honest review rather than hurried change. Coming up, we will look at what the sky shows in this moment, what a Uranus station really invites, how the new moon sets the backdrop, a grounded caution, ways to meet this season well, and the questions people most often ask. A station is the moment a planet seems to pause before appearing to move backward, seen from Earth, much like overtaking a car that seems to hang level before drifting behind, though the road itself never reverses. As we covered, that pause lands at the same spot, read two ways, tropical and sidereal, the second calculated using the Lahiri Ayanamsa. Because calendars split at midnight differently, the date shows up as the 10th for some and the 11th for others, though it's one occurrence, not two events. Take Vikram, who saw the 11th on his calendar while a friend abroad had the 10th, until he realized it was one event landing on two different dates and simply noted his own. When a sky event's date looks inconsistent, it's worth asking whether the moment itself shifted or only the calendar did. Uranus is the planet linked to change, originality, and the freedom to simply be yourself. When it stations, as we covered, its energy seems to gather and slow before easing into that months-long retrograde phase. It's easy to assume a station means something is about to happen to you from outside, some jolt or disruption dropping in. Actually, it tends to work the other way. It's more of an invitation to look inward, toward where you want more freedom, more honesty, or more room to grow. Take Marcus. Say he'd been quietly going through the motions at work, rarely questioning whether the routine still fit him. During this season, he found himself wondering if he wanted more say in how his days were shaped. He didn't overhaul anything, just let the question sit, and it left him feeling a little more like himself. You might ask yourself the same thing. Where would a little more freedom or honesty feel welcome right now? This station doesn't stand alone. It lands just as the moon completes its own quiet cycle. The new moon, in the Vedic reckoning, the moon rests in Purva Falguni Nakshatra, second pada, a placement tied to Venus and to warmth, creativity, and connection, while the Tithi is Amavasya, the dark half of the lunar month closing out. Together they add a soft, reflective undertone, better suited to sitting with a question than rushing toward an answer. Imagine Daniel weighing whether to change apartments, going back and forth without settling it. Around the same new moon, he chose not to force an answer that week. Just let the question stay open while life carried on. A few days later, the choice felt clear on its own, and he was glad he hadn't rushed it. If a question of your own is circling right now, this could be a fitting moment to let it rest a little longer, rather than pushing toward a decision before it's ready. Retrograde seasons like this one can bring delays or a change of plan wherever Uranus is currently active, and that's worth saying plainly instead of skating past it. It's easy to read a delay as a sign something's wrong, but the steadier view treats it as information, not something to dread. The practical response is simple. On anything technological, on sudden decisions, or big commitments, take things a little slower and read through agreements once more before you finalize them. Take Layla. Say she was set to sign a new phone contract this week. Instead of rushing it through, she reread the terms once more and caught a clause worth questioning, and the switch went ahead just a few days later than planned. A steady habit worth carrying forward before anything sizable becomes final this season. Give it one more read. You don't need anything special to work with this energy, only steady attention. That can look like writing down where you feel boxed in, having an honest conversation about a habit that no longer fits, or simply letting a decision sit for a few more days. Small, deliberate steps taken with a clear mind tend to serve you better than one sudden leap. Take Sophia. Say she'd been circling whether to leave a book club that no longer excited her. Instead of quitting on the spot, she jotted down what she actually wanted from her evenings, then gave herself a few more days before deciding. By the weekend, the choice felt obvious, and she left on good terms, pleased she'd taken her time. A steady move worth trying. Pick one small, honest step you can take today and let the rest unfold in its own time. A handful of questions come up again and again about this station, so let's take them one by one. One is simple. When exactly does Uranus turn retrograde in September 2026? As we covered, that's fixed at 1827 UTC on September 10th. Here's the detail worth adding. Because that instant is measured in universal time, your own local calendar might actually show it landing on September 10th or on September 11th, depending on where you live on the planet. Even though it's the very same single moment for everyone. Another question worth answering. Why does the sign name differ between the two frames? The Western tropical zodiac and the Vedic sidereal zodiac simply start measuring the sky from different points. In practice, that means the exact same position in space can carry two different sign names depending on which system you're reading it through. So this station shows up as tropical Gemini in a Western chart and sidereal Taurus in a Vedic one identical place in the sky, wearing two different labels. People also ask, will I personally feel this station? Honestly, that depends on details of your own birth chart that go well beyond anything a general reading like this one can cover. So it wouldn't be truthful to promise you a specific personal experience. In practice, what can be said is that the wider theme, a season built for review and honest reassessment, tends to color the shared mood, even as each person meets it in their own particular way. Some barely notice it at all, others feel it more strongly. Then there's the basic one. What does it actually mean for a planet to station retrograde? As we covered, it's that apparent pause and reversal, more a shift in vantage point than any real change of course. Worth adding that description isn't unique to Uranus, it's simply what station means for any planet in the sky. Last question. Is there anything notable about the moon at this moment? As we covered, it's resting in Purva Falguni Nakshatra with the Tithi at Amavasya. In practice, treat that placement as context for the moment rather than a separate event needing its own attention. It simply colors the backdrop this station is unfolding against, nothing more. That covers the practical basics, the details worth having in hand as the station settles in. Today we traced the station's exact timing, what stationing invites you to notice, the tender new moon behind it, a caution worth taking seriously, and small ways to move through it well. The simplest thing to carry forward is patience. Let anything important sit a day longer and look it over once more before you commit. And since a little patience goes further when it's shared, offer someone in your life a few unhurried minutes this week, just to listen without expecting anything back. Take the month gently. There is more room in it than it looks.